Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to the stream. I'm your host, Cyberdragon, the noob, the janitor. Call me whatever you like. I'm here to show you how to make a obby race today. So last week we created this like lobby area, and you can join a obby race or leave the queue. You can play paper, scissors, rock and collect some coins. I think we made these into a preset. If not, we will. And we'll start a race where all the players will start in a area, a countdown will begin, and then the race begins. And we'll have a finish line. So we'll build a little obby track today. Nothing dramatic, just to show how that flow works. And then we'll have a teleport technique which brings players back to the lobby once finished. So yeah. Thanks for tuning in. Play game for fun. Boofall, Sir, Alokin, welcome to the stream. And yeah, let's dive straight into this. I got a hair sticking up. Oh well, whatever. It is what it is. All right, so let's go for this. Actually, give me one moment. I have to let someone know that I can't join a meeting. All right, done. All right, so we've got this teleport location. So when players go into this queue, it will teleport that player once it hits 0 above to that area. So we're going to put this in its own location so we can build an obby race. Hold shift on the keyboard and you can build upwards, and you hold right alt on the keyboard and click. I said hold alt, the right alt on the keyboard and click, and it'll fill in the whole space. So that way it's really easy to get a floor above without needing to do all fancy stuff. You do it nice and quick. And we'll grab a green block. And again, we can hold Alt and click. And we've got our green floor. So it's not so textured. And we can maybe do orange. We'll bring an orange block. Is this a pretty good one? Yeah, that's good. We'll bring that in. What else do we want? Maybe a gray block. We'll bring this in as well. And we just need to define areas where the players will be waiting, and we'll do that by color. And we need something on the ground that represents death. So you have to go back to a checkpoint. We can build on that. No hurry. No hurry. And now we need something to go around, like a fence or a gate. We can make it so the orange block kills the player when it touches them, and then they go back to a checkpoint. So let's test that out. And we'll raise this gray block above, 2 blocks above. So if players do decide to jump off, they'll meet their doom. And the way to do this is to get a block to damage the player. Click on it and you can see it's called City Block Solid Orange. And then you just go to your avatar portal, and this is where you can set the health of the avatar or attach tags, allocated a team. So you can have tags here. You can assign the player to a team, that sort of thing. You can even tell them not to have weapons, or you can have them equip a certain amount of gear at the beginning. This is where you do all of that. So under the health, you can have damaging blocks. So we can go ahead and type in the city block, and you can see here city block solid orange, and then we can say how much damage it will do. If we say 500, it means we'll kill them straight away. And it will kill them, and then they will teleport to a checkpoint that was last activated. So if you have players teleport here using the avatar teleportation, you can see here we got set timer as a volume trigger. Let's go ahead and edit that logic, and you can see here this sphere, we're going to turn it into a box, and we'll just shrink it to about 6 by 6 by 6, so it covers this area. And what you can do here is when the player leaves this area, we can say it's a checkpoint, checkpoint 1. So when a player leaves this box, it will send a message checkpoint 1. We do have 2 rules. We can change that to all. And then what we can do here is add a checkpoint, and that checkpoint will activate with the message checkpoint 1. So now when we test this out, we should teleport here. If we jump off, we die, and it will teleport us back into this location. So we'll save it and we'll quickly test that out. Hey Zero, how's it going? Thanks for joining. It's taking a little while to save. Okay, we're good. All right, so we're going to join the queue for the race. It teleports us when complete. And if I jump off, it teleports me back to the checkpoint where I can continue. So we can have checkpoints along the way. All they require is a volume to be on an asset and a checkpoint, and you send a message from the volume to the checkpoint. As soon as the player is in that area, they activate that checkpoint. We also need to set a timer to count down for everybody. So what we could do here is we've got set timer. Let's see where that's been sent. So we can go to debug, message inspector, and we could type in the message set timer. We can see the asset that's sending the message and go to it, but we want to see what's receiving it. We can see a HUD is receiving it. We got pause time, start time, and we got a numpad switch. So we go to numpad switch. When the message set timer is sent, after 5 seconds, we got a message that says run timer. Okay. If we go to our start timer in the rules, it will take us over there. So we'll just go race timer. So we've got set timer, event countdown, 5 minutes. But what we can do is if we have set timer and then we have run timer, which is here, we only have 1 timer event. So we're going to have to make a couple, I think. We'll learn to reuse one, and we'll get the flow. Because right now, when we join a race, we'll test out what's happening so we can fix it bit by bit. So we're in a queue, and it's teleported me here, and you can see at the top it says time left, and it has 5 minutes, but we had no countdown for that. So let's try to do a race begins moment. So what we'll do So we need to really refine what we've done here. So this is the RNG logic for the paper, scissors, rock game. Here is the paper, scissors, rock. Here is 1, 2, and 3, so that's all the same. Set controller, event for the race to begin. And here's the purchasing items. And here is our HUD. So we have player joined and set timer. And then we got our local HUD. What we could do here, that's a local banner, sorry. We could have a message that shows the HUD for like 5 seconds, or we could just duplicate this and we can change it. So we got event countdown. We can have race starts in, and then we could have here time left. So we've got set timer. We can say set countdown, and then we can have set race timer. Sorry, got a thing in my throat. And what's this one? This one is event starts in, race starts in, time left. So we've got set countdown and set race timer. So we got here set timer, and what we can do here is have the banner set countdown. So when a player joins, it should say race starts in. We can also have we'll just put so we've got all these timers here. So if we do set countdown, and we have countdown, and we'll set the value to be 10 seconds, and that says start. I think we could set as well. Let me have a look. Set time value. So let's see if this works too. Set countdown. Maybe we need our own timer for this. So I'm going to have a new time. It's going to be global, so everyone sees the same time. And this will be a race countdown. And we can have whatever formatting we want here. And click OK. And then we do race countdown. And we set the timer to be 10 seconds. And to start the countdown, it's probably not a good idea to... Actually, we could just start it straight away. So we can say set countdown. We can get rid of this. We can do race countdown. It will start from 10. When it's ready, it will begin race. And what we can do is... I do have like a pause function here. I'm just going to get rid of these. Okay, doesn't like me trying to delete that. There we go. So we've got set countdown, which is what happens when you go to the trigger volume. So it will start a 10-second timer, which is global. Once it hits 0, it will begin race. We can go ahead and do a message for that. I think that's under comparison. So we can say begin race. It's not how you spell begin. And then we send a message to the HUD. So the HUD here was set race timer. So we're going to go ahead and set race timer. And now let's see if that begins as expected. So event starts in, race starts in, and it hasn't given me a timer for that. And then there's a time left. So it does pop up, but it doesn't set the timer. So let's see what's going on there. So start timer, which is race countdown. The duration is 10, and it should display. Someone's trying to spam. I just stopped them. Nice and easy. Start timer. So that one there should just work with set timer. So I don't know why that's not happening. Let's go to our previous setup. And we got here start timer, event countdown, 6 seconds, then it TPs player. Okay. So that part works. And now we've got set countdown, which again, it does work. And then we have race countdown. So maybe I had the wrong variable here. Yes, I do. So we're going to have race countdown. And this one here needs to be race timer. So I'm going to go ahead and make another variable. It's going to be global, and it's going to be race timer. And what we can do is we can set this one here to be the race timer, and it'll be time left. Now when we come down here, we can duplicate this, and with begin race, did I spell that wrong again? Yes, I did. Begin race. I'm going to roll today. We're going to start with maybe a 300-second race, and then it's going to be sending the message set race timer. All right, we'll save it and test it. So now we should see the times up above working as intended. And now we have a timer for our race. All right, you can see up the top, race starts in. And then time left. It switched over, but it hasn't started the timer for the race. All right, let's go ahead and see what's going on there. So we've got begin race. We've got race countdown. We need to switch that to race timer. My mistake. So now we have race starts in. And there we go. And now the race begins. And you can see if I jump off, it takes me back here. And it's triggered the race starts in message again because of the volume trigger here. So you can see we can't use this setup. And it's reset the timer again. So we need to duplicate that and trigger a few things so that doesn't happen again. So let's do some alterations here. So we're going to duplicate with Control D and get a copy of that asset. And for this one, we're going to get rid of the trigger volume. for this one and get rid of the checkpoint. All right, on this one here, we're going to get rid of the avatar teleportation. We're going to get rid of the checkpoint, because I think we kept it on here, right? Nope. What we can do is... we haven't got the volume on here either. Toggle, teleport, okay. That's fine. Here we'll set countdown. And once countdown is set, it can turn off this toggle. What we could do here is have set countdown to be sent from the message broadcaster. It's going to send to the rules. It's going to require the message trigger set countdown, and we're going to put that here. So when a player enters this area, it will trigger it, and when it does trigger it, it's going to turn itself off, and that way the player can't really trigger it again. And here we can have a checkpoint. So when a player leaves, it's going to trigger checkpoint 1. And when the player enters, it's going to toggle this off. And we can say end race here to turn it back on. So once the Obby race finishes, we can turn it back on. No worries. I think that should work now, and it shouldn't break. Let's test it out. So only one way to find out, isn't there? All right, we have joined the queue. We have been teleported. And we don't have our countdown message. All right, so we're going a bit backwards here. That's okay. We'll figure this one out. So here we got set countdown. So we need to send that from here, which is set countdown. Let me see if that's been sent to the rules. It's been sent to the rules. Let's do all. And maybe this here is turning it off before this can be sent. So we can have set countdown be the thing that turns this off. Let's see if that makes a difference. Then it gives a chance for the message to be sent rather than toggling it off. Okay, so that worked. And you can see race starts in, and we've got that 10-second countdown. And there we go. Now if we jump off and get teleported back, you can see it's not affecting the timer now. It's not resetting because that volume is now triggered off and it won't trigger again. So we had to separate those assets for the purposes of putting a toggle on a message broadcaster so the volume doesn't re-trigger. Cool, let's move on to the next part. We'll save and move on. Just check in chat. Ian says completed but not tested. For hide and seek logic you show us in the future, are you going to show us how to make a loop or a kill switch to reset the game? Will 0.11 will logic going to help to reset a game? All right, so I had a meeting yesterday and I said, can we make a, or can I make a template out of this? So I'll be on my channel making this hide and seek template live. When I've finished, it will be released in the template section so people can just download it, edit it, and use it for themselves. So the idea is to do it, show you live, but also provide the end product. So you can just download it and edit it. It saves you from trying to copy it and ironing out the bugs and whatnot. You may have to wait for me to finish it, but then again, it sounds like you're waiting for me to finish it anyway in order for it to work. So I'll work on the game loop probably tomorrow. I'll stream on my own channel and finish off that game. I'll probably be spending the next week or two working on that because it's not very quick. It's quick for me to show you bits and bobs of logic like what I'm doing here, but you can see half an hour and we've only just figured out like the teleporting area. So it does take a few hours sometimes to work out one little thing to make it smooth. So things aren't built quickly when you're trying to polish up all the bits and pieces in between the main logic. So I'll be doing that on stream. And yeah. You won't have to worry about that, is the purpose of that message. All right, so we can use now a new function called multi. Now, multi is something that will spawn blocks for you. And it's been recently updated, so you can have many different sizes. Before it was only like the minimum size was a 3x3 that it could spawn, but now you can do quite a lot. And the blocks to spawn, we can just say gray. Let me just pick whatever. I don't know which one I've got here. This one is gray number 3. So if we want to keep it consistent with the scheme, just find gray number 3. And that one's here. And the message to activate that would be on the start game, right? So if we go to our rules, we got set race timer. We got begin race, so that's where we'll probably spawn it. So we just go begin race, and that should spawn it. And I can duplicate this one with Control D, bring it over here, and that will do the same thing. And then I can delete that one. And it's a good idea to make them invisible and no collisions. Okay. Now the reason for that is to have something that spawns there. You can have like a gate around the lobby race area here and remove the gate when a countdown begins. So that's easily done as well. For this one, I'm just spawning blocks. You can even delete those blocks using void behavior afterwards. So if I duplicate this with Control D, stack it on top, and the gray 3, instead of multi, we're going to go void. And same with the that on receive message, and that will be end race. We want to destroy no assets, and we only want to destroy from the list of blocks. And that list again, we can type in whatever we want, and that's gray 3. And we can duplicate with Control D and bring that over here. So now when a race begins, these blocks will spawn. When a race ends, those blocks will disappear. Now let's test to see if we can see that in action. We can have it so when the timer hits 0, it sends a message end race. So let me go ahead and message to send is set race timer. And I think that's we got set race timer here. So we don't need this one here. This one here will be end race. So we're going to use end race, and we can have something here which can we subtract time? I don't know if we can I'm pretty sure we can. What I could do here is set time value, and what I could do here is set time to 5, and we could take the race timer and we could set the value to 5. So set time to 5, and we can have here, just for testing purposes, this wouldn't be in the actual game, we can have a message broadcaster, and when you press E on it by doing interact, we can send a message to all to set timer to 5. So now let's test that out and see if all of these functions for the multi and the void work. So we are now have joined the queue. The event starts in 0 seconds. Now we have race begins. So once that hits 0, it should allow us to get across this chasm with these blocks, as you can see. And now we can begin the race. If I jump off, it should spawn me back here, which it does. And if I press E on here, you can see the time left has dropped down to 5 seconds. And when it hits 0, the race has ended. And you can see now that those blocks have disappeared. So that's one way to control the environment with the times on and off. And here's just a little thing to set the timer to 5. But you can see it's begin and race again because of the end timer message. We can refine that, don't worry. So that all works as intended. Cool. Now we don't need that panel there anymore. That was just purposes of testing. We could put that aside so we don't have to remake this later. Chances are we will need to test something again. And yeah. And then you can start building an obby with platforms. I don't think there's actual platforms in here by default. Isn't that funny? There is no basic platform in the game library. There's an asset by Gatto, and we could use something like this. Even though I don't own the asset, you can see it's got lines through it because I don't own it. So you can find other things that we could use as platforms. I have yellow platforms and I have red platforms. I can bring some of these out. And the yellow ones are, they're too much like the floor, so we probably don't want to use them. But let's bring out these and see what they look like. Oh, nice. Okay. So they're the different sizes. We'll probably use this one. And we can have a basic platform on it. And we can have it maybe go up. And what we could do here is maybe we can have one on each side. One starts up the top. The other one starts at the bottom. And we can have a 1 second timer for each one, or maybe 2. So players need to wait a bit more. And it takes a second to go up. And that will be the beginning of the race. First area of the obstacle. Okay. And then we can have multiple ways of doing it. But this is just one quick way. And what we can do here is we can have, oh, sorry, Control Z. Now to make things more challenging, you want players to be able to jump from area to area. Some places might be more risky. We could make the gap too large here, which causes players to needing to jump over there. And then what we could do here is we can have another big gap here, which will cause players to needing to jump on the other side. Something like that. Oh, whoops. So now you have a few choices here. So when you go up, you don't know. You should be able to get across that gap, but if not, there's a smaller gap here. I don't think you can get across that big gap, but these are things that players will find out when they first race and see what self-discovery paths they can make. We can have things in between that make it a bit more interesting. Maybe we can have a bigger platform for this one. Yeah, we'll use the bigger one. And for this one here, we can have another basic platform. And we can make that 20. We can make that 50. And it won't keep still. And it will probably move quite slowly. And it could be there as a support mechanism. We could even just shrink that to something like this. I'm not very good at making obbies, to be honest, but this is just a quick example of a race that can be done. For the purposes of just showing some logic for the end of the race. And I do like going in a spiral. And we could force the players to need to go up. And again, we can add a basic platform to this one. And we could say -5. So it goes through the wall. It waits for 3 seconds and then goes in, maybe even 2 seconds. And we could duplicate this. give it some decent room so the players can't scale it all that easy. I think 3x3 is good. Yeah, something like that. And we'll make it so they can't use the wall as support. Okay. We could have other things along the way. Obviously, you'll need to add more detail to this, to your own Obby races. But it just shows how you can use a 1x1 and still have like a big Obby on the one floor. If you go into a spiral motion, you can get quite a bit of a bit happening on the one race. Anyway, that's what I wanted to show, and what I want to do now is have a finish line. So when a player comes up here, we'll make this the finish line up here, just for the purposes of moving forward. This one here. Okay, so that will be our finish line. Obviously, you wouldn't do it at the start of the game, but we want to just test the logic out easily. So we're just going to set it up here. So we're going to have volume. And here we're going to make it a box. And it's probably going to be something like 8x3x4. No, by 2. Yeah, something like that. Make sure that the players have to get up there. We'll make it by 5, 6. All right, so this will make the players need to jump up the top here to trigger the finish line. And here we can send a message, player finished race. And we can add a message argument, which is a number. We'll just call it number. Yeah, so that will be fine, I think. We do want to send a message to the banner as well. We can do that with a in between, so that's fine. So player finished race, and then we can have number 1 be sent to whatever we send this to. So if we go to our rules here and go our variables, and we can say a number here, which will be local. So only each individual player will have their own. And we can have a race result, and it will start off with 0. If they get to the end here, we can say set number value, and that number value will be whatever is in the message argument, and it's going to make their race result, which is a local, the value of whatever's in the message argument. The message argument is going to set this value to 1 to let the rule later on know that they qualified. And then you can accumulate or distribute a prize to them and give them coins or something of that nature. And if someone has 0, we can go ahead and eliminate them. So if the race timer hits 0, it will send a message end race. And what we can do here is we can compare numbers, and we can send the message end race. We're going to check race result, and if it equals to 0, we're going to TP player out. So that's something we need to do, is TP to player out once the game has finished. And there are a couple of ways to do this. It gets easier in future updates of Game Maker, so there's quite a workaround to do this to all the players. You got to bring out a volume trigger from a asset spawner. But let's save and test what we've got at the moment, and also let's check here. We'll put something at the bottom to see if that race result does turn to 1. So we can say player qualified. And we'll save, and we'll quickly test that out. All right, let's go into our race. We have joined the queue. We now have our Obby area, and you can see things are moving up and down. We've got things going through the walls. We need to fix that later. But now the path is here. And you can see our player qualified at the bottom has hit 1, which means that we made it. And it can teleport us out and give us a prize for hitting it. So we can have it so this is an obstacle course where it's not the first person to get to the end, but rather can you get to the end within the set amount of time, and if you can get given like gold for your efforts. So let's do that. We'll set that up. Now we're going to set up the teleport. So we got player finished race. What we could do is, do we have a personal timer? Time is global, time is global, time is global. All right, so what we can do here is create a timer that is local to the player timer, and we can have now another time event. So we'll go time, start timer. That timer will be from player finished race. We're going to set our personal timer, and after 5 seconds, it's going to send a message TP player to lobby. And then we can send that message to TP to player to the lobby. We can also have here a send message. And what's the message we use is local banner. So what we're going to do here is when the player is finished a race, we're going to send a message to local banner, and that's going to send a message you qualified, or you finished a race, whatever you want. And then you can have how long that's displayed for. That is 2 seconds. So that message will come up here and display that to the banner for 2 seconds. After 5 seconds, we can TP player to the lobby. We can also give the player some money. So we can go ahead and do a math rule. We can have player finished the race. We're going to take the variable money and we're going to add whatever we want for the player to for finishing the race. So maybe they get 200 gold for getting to the end, or 250, whatever the case may be, and that will equal that amount of money. And we just need to now send a message that will TP the player to the lobby. So once that hits the 0, we TP player to lobby, which will be, where's the lobby? It's underneath, isn't it? Okay. We can remove this block because we're not using this anymore. And we should have a place to TP the player to lobby. So I'm just going to duplicate this one, Control D. And I'm going to put a orange, not an orange block, just a green block here, just to show that this is the place that gets teleported. And we don't need this one. We just need TP player to lobby. And the place we want to say is TP lobby area. And we just go ahead and click enter. And then we select that asset here in the library. Message when finished. We don't need to send anything, and we don't need to toggle that off either. And we want it to be an instant teleport. All right, that's the next thing. So let's test that out, make sure that works. Click tab. And we go ahead and sign up. You have joined the queue. Excellent. You can see our money is 0 on the left. So when we make it to the end, we got the qualified message, we got the 250 gold, and after a few seconds, we get teleported to the lobby. So the people that make it to the end will be rewarded. We'll say that they qualified or finished the race, give them some money, and then take them back to the lobby. Everyone else is still racing it until the timer hits 0. So it gives the players a chance to get to the end. Cool. All right, next, let's check our presets. Okay, we've got a coin preset. When we bring that out, you can see that it has a collision. It's global, meaning that the first person that collects it will get it and it will disappear for everyone else. Or you can have it so everyone gets a copy. It's up to you how competitive you want the game to be. Then you can add money 35. We also want to add a plant behavior so we can kill it off. And we kill it off with end race. So when the race is finished, it will remove all the coins from the lobby. From the Obby race area. We'll go ahead and save that over the existing coin preset. So now that is our actual template. And now we're going to go ahead and make these spawn in the race when a race begins. So we're going to make that invisible, no collisions, and we're going to add an asset spawner. When we begin the race, we're going to spawn the coin. And we don't want it to only happen once. We only want to happen as many loops as we want. And then we can have a coin here. We can have another coin here. Duplicate. We can have another coin here. And you just go ahead and set up as many of these asset spawners that you want around your obby. Etc. and etc. Then we can have a 5-second timer test again to see them disappear when a race ends. So let's see if they actually do what it's supposed to happen. For our Obby. All right, let's go. So now we have joined the queue. It's teleported us to our waiting area. You can see no coins have spawned yet, but once the race begins, our blocks should spawn and the coins should spawn. Ta-da! So now if we pick up a coin, you can see it's giving us our money. And if we do the 5 seconds, it should end the race, get rid of these blocks, and also the coins up there. Yep. All the coins disappeared. All the blocks are gone too. Now, a trick you want to do as well is you have to be wary of /respawn. If you type /respawn in chat, it will take you to the last checkpoint pretty much. So if you have players that have qualified and been teleported back to the lobby and did /respawn, it will take them back into the race, into the last location that they triggered a checkpoint. To bypass this, at the teleport location, you should have another checkpoint. You can have TP CP. So this is teleport checkpoint. We want to only broadcast it to the self, and then we get checkpoint. And here this will be TP CP, and that will be here. So when players get teleported back to the lobby, this is the place that they'll be teleported to, and you can make the detection pretty small. Doesn't have to be that big. Players will automatically be spawned inside of it, so it will trigger straight away, and that way it will stop players from /respawning back into the experience. All right, when we end race, we want to teleport the other players out. So end race, if our race result is equal to 0, TP player out. So we can do that here as well. I think we can have multiple messages, and we can say TP player out. All right, let's test that out as well. Make sure that all works as intended. Okay, here we are. Okay, so the race begins. If we push it so there's only 5 seconds left. Ooh, it kind of hurt me as it teleported. But there you go. It's teleported me out. There's a timer ran to 0, and I didn't have the qualified message. You can see at the bottom, my player qualified still 0. And if I do now /respawn, it's going to take me back to the last checkpoint rather than inside the Obby, because we needed to have another checkpoint at our teleport location to stop players from getting back in by cheating. Now we can send a message with TP player out because it's looking for 0. And if you have 0, we can go ahead and duplicate this one, and we can say TP player out, which is sent from here, and we can send a message to the local banner that says you didn't finish the race. And that's it. You didn't finish the Obby in time. Something like that, right? So now when players get eliminated, and they didn't finish it in time, they get taken out of the experience. And here, just going to move these across a bit so they don't poke through the walls. You probably don't want all these moving parts either to be functional all the time. So what you could do is you can highlight them all, hold shift and click to click the ones that you want. And you can go ahead and add a toggle behavior. This will tell it if the behavior is going to be on or off when the game begins. We can set that to off, and we could turn it on with begin race, and we could turn it off with end race. So that way they're not moving around and causing resources to be lost when you're not really needing it at the time. And that is pretty much all the logic you really need to know for an Obby race to make it work from A to B. So now players can collect coins, move in obstacles, get rewarded for reaching the end and teleporting out. Losers get teleported out when a timer hits 0. You can see now our platforms aren't moving. And now the race is starting. Let's test the disqualified or not making it to the end to make sure that message does pop up. And there it says you didn't finish the obby in time. So that way the player gets a notification of what's happening, so that they automatically get teleported out and they weren't paying attention to the clock. But at least they get a banner to let them know what happened there. And you can see we did not get rewarded any money besides the coins we picked up during the race. And you can see now when the timer is finished, we need a 5-minute timer for the next event to begin. So let's go into our timer. We're using a message for the end of the time to be end race. What we could do here is we can have a duplicate. We'll move this across, move this over here, and with end race, we can have our event countdown begin from 5 minutes until the next event begins. Also with end race, we could bring back our old HUD, so that way we can say end race, and we can now see the event countdown. And our money, we can use this symbol here to get rid of anything that's displayed. So if we're switching from this HUD here to this HUD here, it will keep everything that's on this HUD unless you're overriding that exact same slot. But if you have a slot that's open, I mean displaying something, and then you switch over here and there's nothing in this one, it will still display that value. But if you want that value to go away, you need to put this invisible eye there to get rid of that HUD. So that's that from A to B. We'll test it one more time. So now we're in the event. We are in the lobby area. Our race starts in and it has our timer up the top. Okay, the race has begun. When I press E on this, we make it 5 seconds left. We get teleported out. We didn't finish the obby in time. And then we have event starts in, but we don't actually have the clock begin again. So let's see what we have to do there. Are we displaying the right thing? Did I select the right information inside of the game logic? So I do have end race. It is the event countdown, which is global. It has new time value being 5 minutes. and that is set time value. We don't want that. We want a copy of this one. So we're going to have end game again. This time we're going to set event countdown, and now it's going to be 5 minutes, and then it can be TP game 2. So when this 5 minutes is up, it's going to TP players, whoever signed up to game 2. We'll need to have extended logic for that. I will do that next week. We'll continue on the this stream next week and design the second game, and then we'll tie it all in together. So let's see if the basics work now. All right, we're in the race. Race begins. 2 seconds left. We get teleported out. It says you didn't finish the obby in time. And you can see now we got a new timer at the top to let us know when the next event will begin. And when that timer hits 0, we can compare the player number here to see if they've queued up for the next race. And if they have, it will TP them to the next event. So you can have a single place here to sign up for these events, and a timer will pretty much check your event sign up number. If it's 1, it will teleport you where it needs to go. If it's 0, you won't be teleported to the race or whatever the game is. And here we got our paper, scissors, rock. We need to refine this as well. I just showed you quick logic last time on how this works. And we created a shop as well to spend that gold. But you can see here I've locked the logic on this game. Oh. Okay, so there was something, we need to play around and refine this logic here. You can see it is not ideal, but it was a quick put together to show you how easily it is to put a rock, paper, scissors type of game inside of a game maker. It doesn't take very long at all. But I think that is all, and this is how you can put a quick obby race together. There are more complications that you can add to it by having a qualifier. So you can have, like, if there's 8 players in a race, the first 3 that make it will get rewarded, and then everyone else will get eliminated. Pause the timer and then switch it to the next cooldown. That's a lot more complicated, and it requires a lot more thinking to get something like that working. It's something that I can show next time for sure. But if you have any questions or want to know something, feel free to message me on Discord. More than happy to help. All right, but that's it for today. Thanks for tuning in, everyone, and have a good one. Take care. Bye-bye.